Folks, I'm Emily and this is 108 Stitches, which is a mostly knitting video podcast. Sometimes I chat a little bit about baseball, sometimes I chat a little bit about other crafty things that I'm up to. You may peep my loom over here, so I have been doing some weaving that I can share with you all about as well. And again, yeah, my name is Emily and I live in Seattle, Washington with my husband Moses and our pup Norman. And it is Monday, November 15th, and it is almost 5 o'clock. And I was hoping to podcast early enough today to get some natural light to show you all the beautiful yarns and projects that I've been working on. But unfortunately, it is that time of year after daylight savings. It is already not enough light outside that I could do it without turning the overhead light on. So I do have the overhead light on in our home. So the colors are not going to be as beautiful as they normally are, unfortunately, but that may just be a reality of winter happening here in the Pacific Northwest, or just north anywhere, I guess. I mean, it's also cloudy here, which adds to the darkness and gloom factor, but anyway, I'm so happy that you hopped on, and I guess hopped on, is a term that I use when I'm talking about video calls with coworkers. I guess that's not really what the situation is here. This is more of a one-way communication thing, but I'm happy, I guess, that you tuned in and that you are watching this video. You may be surprised to hear from me so soon because I have been super irregular with my podcast episodes for a while. It's been, I would say, every 2 weeks would be generous, every 2 weeks at the best of times, but my last one I posted, I think, just about a week ago. So I'm really excited to be able to record another podcast and share it with you all. A big reason why I wanted to go ahead and do this now is because Nofis and I are traveling back home to Oklahoma for Thanksgiving, and we're actually leaving this Friday. Thanksgiving is next week, but we're leaving this Friday so that we can be there for the whole week, spend a lot of time with family, and also because my brother is in the University of Oklahoma marching band. And we really wanted to make sure to go to an OU home football game so we could see him march. So we're going this Friday so we can watch him on Saturday. So anyway, I'm really glad I'm able to podcast. I have some updates for you. It has only been a week, but I feel like it's been a pretty prolific week of crafting for me. Things were slowing down at work a little bit, and I really appreciate all of you who sent really kind comments and messages about that. I think it's easy for us to get really wrapped up in the, constant churn of work and life and everything. And so I just really appreciate y'all. And I think someone mentioned, how knitting can be such a great, kind of, not escape, but comfort for that. And I absolutely find that to be true. I think crafting has really helped me kind of, I don't want to say center, but just it's like a really comforting constant that I feel like I always have, and that's really helpful for me to always have that to go to, and I think it's just really calming for me as well, and I don't know, I love it, and I think some of my best days and moments are the ones that I fill with crafting. So anyway, I'm really excited to talk to all of you about the crafting I've been doing, and let's just go ahead and jump into it. So I have a little bit of natural light that's kind of playing with the indoor lights right now, so maybe the colors will be okay, and I'll try to go through the knitting stuff quickly, and then I can do the rest of my rambling and stuff at the end if I need to. But a couple of finished objects to share with you this week. So first up, I have my completed, this is my 4th Stripey turtle tank. So if you are new here, the Stripey turtle tank is a pattern that I wrote and designed myself. My first and only pattern that I have ever designed, and it is just a cropped tank with a little bit of a ribbed mock neck at the top, and I love it and I'm very proud of it. And yeah, I just keep knitting them because I love them so much. So we wrapped our knit along just I guess a week ago. And this was the tank that I was knitting as part of that knit along. So yeah, I'll give you guys a little bit of a close-up of the colors here. The main color, this like really, it's, I don't know if you can tell here, maybe I should grab the yarn. So no, I think it's downstairs, but this main color is like a really light creamy pink. It's barely pink. It's mostly kind of like that cream color. And it is Woolberry Fiber Company in the Mine colorway, which is from their Under the Sea collection that happened, I think, in the summer. And I have that actually in her cashmere, berry cashmere base, which is a merino cashmere nylon. And it's a really nice 2-ply fingering weight yarn that I have really enjoyed working with. And I think I have another skein of it in like a gray color as well. So I'll have to think of something good to use that for. But the contrast color is all of these stripes are knit from a mini skein set that I got from Sewrella Yarn Company. I hope I'm saying that right. And I got it from their Disneyland collection, which I think also maybe was in the summer. And that was the Adventureland mini set that I got. And so I just used those 5 minis as my contrast colors, and I really love how it turned out. For sizing and everything, this is the 3rd size that I knit, and I used the pattern recommended US size 3 needles. And let's see, yeah, I believe I have about an inch of negative ease, and I have a 33-inch bust, so that worked out as expected for me. So that is my first finished object. And I do want to say, I think this is my 4th stripey turtle tank. I don't know if I'm going to knit anymore. I probably will. I'll probably keep knitting this pattern for the rest of my life. But I'm really happy with the way that it turned out, and I think I was really wanting kind of like a creamy, lighter colored stripey turtle tank, because I don't know, those of you who've watched the podcast through may remember my other stripey turtle tanks, but my original one is like a really dark teal main color, and then I knit one for my sister, so I don't have that one anymore, but it was actually a gray color with like greens and purples as the contrasts, and then I knit another one for myself with a dark green main color and some like orange and brown and green contrast colors. That was the Big Little Yarn Co. Forest Walk set, and I know some of you also have grabbed that set and knit one yourself. So yeah, those are the ones I had, and so I was really wanting something a little bit brighter and lighter, and I think this one fits that really well. And for some reason, I don't know if it's just the time of year or like something in my head, but when I look at these colors, maybe it's because this like red and green are kind of close to each other, but I really am getting kind of like a wintry Christmas vibe. And I have a really light pink velvet skirt, and I'm wondering if this could be a good kind of like winter holiday party style outfit. If I could put maybe like a cream blouse, like collared shirt or something underneath it, wear it like a vest with that like pink velvet skirt. I don't know. I think that could be nice and wintry. I generally think of these colors as like spring colors, so I don't know. Maybe I'm way off on that, but I get almost like Whoville type vibes, or like, candy kind of. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Ooh, maybe I should make like a candy cane stripey turtle tank. I was thinking like white main color, red stripes, but then I feel like I'm just gonna look like Waldo, like Where's Waldo? So maybe that's not the right idea. Anyway, I should probably stop knitting stripey turtle tanks and knit other things, and that is what I intend to do at least for a little while, although I am sure I'll come back to it. But that is my first finished object, the stripey turtle tank. And my second finished object is very similar in color and yarn. It is this baby hat that I knit for one of Noffice's really good friends. They just had a baby, and little Callie, and I used just leftover yarn from this tank. So thank you so much to everyone who voted on the poll that I put on Instagram for which baby hat color palette I should use. I ended up going with the winner. So I picked, the main color is the same as the one from my stripy turtle tank, and then I picked just this like dark coral stripe and the like periwinkle colored stripe. And I just did a little newborn hat. This is the striped newborn hat from Purl Soho. They have like a set of free patterns that includes 3 newborn hat patterns, and I actually did this one. So theirs uses a smaller needle than I had, and I think the yarn they use is a little bit lighter than the yarn I was going to use, so I ended up casting on fewer stitches than it said to, just to try to make sure it wasn't too big. And then I don't remember if the little edging is in the pattern is twisted rib or normal rib, but I did twisted rib, and then everything else is as the pattern says. I use the Weavin Stephen method. Oh, also on my stripy turtle tank and on this hat, I use the Weavin Stephen method for my ends, which I love. And I am never shying away from doing stripes again in my life, because the Weavin Stephen method has just revolutionized my in the round. I guess you could probably do it flat. Well, yeah, definitely anything in the round that you have to change color frequently. So easy to do the Weavin Stephen method. And I did it for one of my other stripy turtle tanks, for the green one. And I've worn it several times and have had no issues with the ends coming loose. And so I'm going to keep doing it forever. I love stripes, and this makes stripes so much more like palatable and approachable for me, because for my first stripy turtle tank, I carried the yarn up quite a bit. And I didn't love the way that worked out, but that resulted in me having fewer ends to weave in. For my second one that I knit for my sister, I just wove in all the ends. And that was horrible. I had so many ends to weave in, and it took forever. Luckily, Hannah, my sister, likes her tops extra cropped, so it was shorter. Otherwise, it would have been even worse. But, and then for the third one, I did Weavin Stephen, and if I ever knit another one or ever do stripes again, I will definitely do Weavin Stephen. So he has like a video tutorial, Stephen West does, for that method. And I'll try to put a link to it below in the description box so that you guys can check it out if you're interested. But yeah, that's my second finished object, is this little hat, baby hat, and I'm going to block it and send it on its way to Nofis's friend shortly. So yeah, those are my finished objects, and then let's see, a couple of works in progress that I have. So I realized actually when I was talking to my knit night friends that 3 of my current projects, I think all of my current knitting projects, are using Grenouille Lampblack. I love that color. I mean, it's so, I feel bad. It's so boring for y'all to watch me. I just like knit everything with the same color and it's all gray. But all of my knitting works in progress right now are Grenouille Lampblack, different projects in different bases. So get ready to see a lot of gray. But a couple of things that I cast on in the last week. One, I cast on the second Oslo hat. So I think I shared with you all either last episode or the one before. I think it was the last episode, maybe. My completed Oslo hat that I knit while I was on vacation. And I wanted to make matching hats for myself and my husband. And I wasn't sure whether that one was going to be for me or for him. It depended after I blocked it on like how big it was. And I think it ended up, actually, it fit me pretty well before blocking. And then after blocking, I think it fit him pretty well. So I think he's going to keep that one. And I cast on another one, which is smaller. So I have not done very much on this. But this, again, is the Oslo hat by Petite Knit. And here is your first look at my first project with Grenouille Lampblack. I'm not sure how the focus will do right now. It looks, you can see it a little bit, and you know, the light isn't great anyway. There we go. Yeah, so there's the Grenouille Lampblack. It's just the most beautiful tonal dark gray, and I really love it. And well, yeah, I mean, you know that I love it because I'm knitting everything out of it. I just started this. I was knitting on it a little bit. Oh, focus back on me, please. If I move a lot, will it come back to me quicker. Come on. Oh, my camera is groggy today, I guess so. Anyway, I'm really happy with the way that this is knitting up. I've knit one before, and so I know what to expect. It's easy, easy peasy. This is Grenouille's DK base. This is 85-15 merino nylon, 85%, 15%. And I think I'm using the needle size that's called for. It's a US 4. And I cast on, actually this is fewer stitches than the smallest size in the pattern. I think my gauge may just be a little bit off, or maybe my head is just really small. But yeah, or maybe I just like a snugger fit on a hat. I want it to be like pretty tight. But anyway, that is that. I cast that on and spent some time working on that while I was playing games with friends yesterday. I did a little knitting while we were doing that. And then the other project I'm not going to show you because I've made zero progress on it in like months, but I'm working on a pair of socks right now. Just a basic, I think I'm doing a broken rib, Grenouille Lampblack pair of socks, a little bit shorter, not a full length cuff. And I've been stuck on the foot forever because, if you're interested in hearing me talk about it, go back a few episodes. I know I was talking about the needle issue I was having, and I'm about to cast on another pair of socks, so I definitely need to buy new sock needles. So this is a good reminder for me to do that. So I need to do that before I go on vacation. So new sock needles, but I'm not going to show that because I haven't done anything on it. But the other thing I cast on and I've made quite a bit of progress on is my Clove sweater, which is a pattern by Rachel Knits Things on Instagram, or I think her last name is Rachel Kurihara, maybe? I probably said that wrong and I'm very sorry. But this is out of Grenouille Lampblack DK Tweed. So really a beautiful yarn, and I showed the yarn last week, so hopefully, since the lighting is not great right now, you can go back and look at, it's in my thumbnail photo for my last video, so if you are interested in taking a look at that yarn, I'll try to show it again here, so that you guys can get a little peek of what that yarn looks like. And then I'll show you the fabric knit up. It's really beautiful. I think the tweed just looks really nice. Maybe I can show it here a little bit. Really beautiful how it's coming together. But it is a construction really similar to the Riley tee. So that's a test knit that I actually just finished for Rachel. And I just took some finished object photos this weekend, so I'll be posting those. That pattern goes live on Friday, so I'll probably post those on Friday with the pattern launch. And I'm really happy with how that one turned out. But this is a really similar construction. It just doesn't have the twisted rib kind of panels on the top of the shoulders and like down the sleeves. And then it does like a different kind of neckline. Rather than doing the folded hems, it has a twisted rib. I think, going to do a fold over hem. But it's twisted rib rather than just stockinette. And then it has kind of like a split hem detail on the bottom, and then this one is full sleeves as well. So I finished the back panel. That you knit the back panel first. So I finished the back panel, and I've actually done more than it looks here because it's rolling up because it's stockinette. So I'll hold that out. You can see kind of how long it is that I've done. I did the back panel, and then I'm almost done. I think I have like 4 rows or so of the front panel. I just have to do the front panel until it's as long as the back panel. So maybe I have a little bit more to go. I'm not sure. It's hard to say exactly, but I'll probably count rows just to make sure it's exactly even. But yeah, I'm almost done with the front panel, and then I join them together, and then I'll cruise. I'll just do stockinette in the round for the body. I just smacked myself in the face. But I am using, yes, this is Grenouille Lampblack Tweed DK, and let's see, I'm knitting the second size of the Clove sweater, and I think I went down a needle size to get gauge, so my fabric may be a little bit denser, and I know for the Riley tee my fabric was a little bit denser than I think Rachel's was. I think my gauge is just a little bit off from her, so I think maybe in the future I would use a lighter yarn so that I get the desired kind of like fabric, so that I can get like the right gauge and the right fabric. But I still think I'm gonna really like the way that the sweater is, and actually I think blocking the Riley tee really helped kind of relax it, and so I think blocking this one is gonna help as well. So, oh yeah, last time I recorded, I don't think I had blocked the Riley tee yet. So for those of you who are wondering about that bottom hem and whether blocking it was gonna let it rest and stay flat, it definitely worked. So when I blocked it, I did do what I mentioned and block it pretty aggressively and kind of fold it up under itself while it was drying. And then when I unfolded it and wore it, it stayed flat and nice, and it hasn't shown any sign of like wanting to flip up. So I am really glad that I didn't rip it out and redo it. And I'll show pictures of the tee on Instagram and everything too, so that you guys can see it. But yeah, this is the Clove sweater, and yeah, I talked, I think, a couple episodes ago maybe about my knitting goals for the year and how I was really hoping that I could get 2 more sweaters out this year, and this was one of them that I was really hoping to, and this one's actually going pretty fast. So I finished the Riley tee. This one I think is gonna, hopefully I'm gonna be able to do it pretty quickly, and then just 1 sweater left. And I originally was gonna try to do the Stripey cardigan by Andrea Mowry and participate in the Insta Friends knit along that Jess of Shop La Mercerie runs. Just because, you know, I really like to be a part of the knit along and, like, you know, be a part of like the community and all of that. And so I really wanted to cast that one on. I have the yarn for it and everything, but I do think rather than trying to finish that one, or rather than trying to knit that one, which is light yarn in half brioche at a pretty like small needle, like tight gauge, I don't know that that's going to set me up for success. So I do think what I'm going to do is bring back my Madewell dupe sweater. And some of you actually asked about this when I was talking about my goals. And my original plan was to kind of put that off and finish it in the new year. But I think I'm going to bring it back. And so as soon as I finish the Clove sweater, I think I'm going to come back to my, oops, I just had this fall off. I'm going to come back to what I'm calling my Madewell dupe sweater, which is a heavily modified birthday by Onkestrick, because I've already done the neck and started the raglan. It's like, you know, and I was thinking about it too, you know, when I was talking about my goals, for those of you who've watched the podcast through and have seen all my episodes and everything, you'll remember that this was the year that I knit the entire body of this sweater way too big and then pulled the whole thing out. And so really when I think about, like, you know, I wanted to knit 8 sweaters this year, and how I like may or may not make that, it's going to be close or whatever. I basically knit the entire body. I basically knit a whole sweater's worth because I knit it way too big for myself. So I basically knit a sweater and then ripped it out. So I don't know if I'll count that, but I think, you know, definitely keeping that in mind makes it easier for me to be a little bit more kind to myself and lenient, remembering that I did knit a whole sweater body and then rip the whole thing out. So, but then I feel better about finishing this one this year as well, because then I'm not kind of leaving it hanging. You know, I have somewhat of a mixed relationship with the sweater because of that, and so maybe I think that's why I'm not drawn to finishing it as much as starting something new. But I think the feeling of like accomplishment, if I can finish this sweater before the end of the year, will be like really good. So we'll see. I may not make it, and that's fine, whatever, but I may try, and we'll see. And then my last work in progress that I wanted to share with you is actually not knitting. It is my weaving. So another goal that I had for myself this year was to weave. So I have a loom. I have I believe this is a 15-inch Cricut loom. I'm not sure. I think there are 2 Cricut loom sizes, and I have the bigger one, and I don't remember. I guess I could like look at it or like measure it or something. But I have a Cricut loom. It's facing you all. It's not facing me the right way. But when we moved, either when I moved from Oklahoma to Washington or when we moved from our last apartment to this current place, I lost basically all of the small pieces that you need for the loom. So I lost like the pieces that you use to bolt the loom to the table when you're warping it, and I lost the warping peg, and I lost the little hook that you use to pull the thread through. Sorry if none of you weave, none of this, well, I don't actually know the terms. I'm very new. I've woven like 3 times in my life. So I am also new to weaving, but just recognizing that you all probably don't know what these things are either, and that's fine. But basically, I was missing a lot of the pieces that I needed, and so last year for Christmas, my mom got me all the pieces that I need to weave again, and I had been wanting to do it this year, and then just, you know, the overhead of like warping the loom. So if you're unfamiliar, basically, you know, weaving has two directions of threads. Weaving has like the long direction is the warp, and then the back and forth that you do is the weft. And when you set up to weave, you have to put all of the warp strands like on your loom set up ready to go. And then once that's done, you kind of have it, you have your like weft and you go back and forth with your weft. So I think there's a chance I'm getting that mixed up, but I don't think so. Clearly, I am not the authority on weaving. I do not know what I'm doing very well. So if you actually are interested in weaving and have questions, I honestly don't really have resources for you because I have been very much a like learn as you go type person, but I would say I am not the resource. So hopefully you can find something else online if you have questions about it. I mean, I'm happy to answer questions to the best of my ability, but I am not very knowledgeable here. Anyway, I wanted to weave something this year. And so what I decided to do was kind of a scrappy project. So I warped my loom with just plain black sock yarn. So this is actually, I think, Cascade Heritage. It's just a merino nylon sock yarn. And I just did like a plain black. And then I am using a whole bunch of leftover yarn, sock yarn. So you won't even be able to see it all in here. But just tons of leftover yarns that I just put in this bag. And I just arrange them in rainbow order. And I'm just weaving as I go. I'll just go on one color for a while until I feel like I'm done. And then I change the next color. So I just started. I've only done 2 colors. But I'll show you all. You'll see my messy end of it here. So that light pink is the first color. And then I switched into a little bit more of like a corally pink. And yeah, I am just going to keep going until I have a rainbow wrap scarf thing. Should be about scarf length. I think it's going to be a little shorter than I wanted it to be. And I think weaving it will like kind of contract it a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I may not be super happy with the end result. I don't know. It'll be fun. I'm just glad I'm getting back into weaving. And this has made me really want to have, I have this idea, and y'all can tell me if you think I'm crazy or not, but I really want to weave and then felt a blanket. So do y'all know about those Pendleton blankets? They're these like beautiful, like woven felted blankets, and they're, I always think of them as kind of like retro-y colors, like oranges and blues. And I really want to kind of recreate that myself. So what I want to do is weave a whole bunch of these long pieces because my loom is only like 15, 20 inches wide. So I can't weave the whole blanket at once, but I can weave pieces of it, like strips, long strips, and then I can sew them or like seam them together, and then I can felt it, I think. So I don't know, maybe this is like too ambitious of me to like try to do this, but I do want to try, I think. So maybe that's a goal for next year. We'll see. If I finish the scarf and it goes well, then maybe I will, I'll embark on that journey next year. We'll see. But yeah, I would want to get like just some non-superwash yarn and then weave it up and then felt it and see if it turns out. So anyway, that's my weaving, and that is the last thing that I've been working on this week. I have a couple of other things yarn related that I wanted to share with you. So one is what I'm planning to cast on next. And I mentioned earlier that I wanted to cast on, I'm planning to cast on a pair of socks, and so I need to get new sock needles. And the pair of socks that I'm planning to cast on is a gift. So Hannah, if you don't want spoilers, then don't watch this. If you do want spoilers, then That's fine. So my video stopped because my camera will only record 30 minutes at a time, and I did not notice, and I just kept talking. Normally I notice, but sometimes I don't, and this time I didn't notice. So trying to go back to where I was when it cut off. So yes, I have a gift that I'm gonna knit for my sister, hopefully finish by Christmas, but I am using this beautiful yarn from the Red Pansy, and I've actually shown this, I think, when I got it, and hopefully it'll focus and you guys can see it, and how beautiful it is. Is my face a problem? Is the loom a problem? Hopefully. There we go. Yeah, oh my gosh, so beautiful. And I know the light is bad, but I'm hoping that you guys can still see how gorgeous this yarn is. So it's like a pale blue color with like brighter bits of like blue, and then like pink and purple in there as well. And this is, like I said, the Red Pansy, and it is from her Monet Impressionism Club. And so she started this, it's a surprise like yarn club. It started in January of this year, and this is actually the January colorway. And it is inspired, each month is inspired by a work of Monet, Claude Monet art. And she picked for this month, it is the Houses of Parliament is the piece of art that inspired this yarn. And I love Monet. I just really love Impressionism in general. I'm like not a huge art person, but it's just so beautiful to me. And I think probably my most favorite work of art ever is the Monet Water Lilies, which I've seen physically in person, and it's just the most kind of like breathtaking art I've ever seen. So I really wanted to get this club, and I think the colors of this work, this artwork, like this painting in particular, are just like really beautiful. And I know that my sister also really loves art and Monet, and so so I'm planning to make for her the Poet Socks by Sari Nordlund, and I have knit them before. I actually knit them, I think last year, with some beautiful pink yarn that I got from Woolberry Fiber Company. So go back a while if you are interested in seeing that. But they ended up being a little big for me, and I actually gave them to my mom, and so I wanted to knit a pair for my sister as well. And I thought this yarn would just be perfect for it. So the yarn and the pattern together, and also just like for Hannah, I thought would be really nice. So yeah, I'm hoping I can finish this for Christmas. I need to get, like I mentioned before, I need to get those needles, new needles for sock knitting, and hopefully I can get those before we go on vacation on Friday. And yeah, start working on this. Maybe this will be a plane project for me. I can cast these on and start knitting them on the plane. So that is that. And then I also have acquisitions that I will share with you. So I didn't order these. I ordered these a while ago, but they just arrived a couple days ago because it was a pre-order. But I ordered from Explore Knits her national park pre-order. So she also does a club. It's like a monthly club where she picks a national park and inspiration photos and everything, and you can buy the club and get surprise yarn in the mail. And I didn't do that. She did a pre-order after the club ended to let folks order any of the colors once they were all revealed. And there were two that I just loved and had to have, and so I bought them. So one of them, unsurprisingly, is North Cascades National Park. So this is in our home state of Washington, and actually Nafis and I went to North Cascades for the first time this year. It is a beautiful national park here in Washington, and I think this yarn just perfectly captures that park and also the Pacific Northwest in general. Just this beautiful like gray, blue, green is perfect. So I had to have it. I bought it in Denali sock, which is her fingering weight, 80% merino wool, 20% nylon, and it's a 2-ply yarn, and it's really nice. I have the space, I think, in some other colors, and I've knit with it before, and I like it. And then I also got this one. I didn't have like an emotional connection to. I just loved the color, and I actually saw someone else knit a pair of socks in this yarn, and I loved it, and so I wanted it, and I may make those same socks, or I may make other socks or something else with it, but I just really liked this color. So it's Serengeti National Park, and this one is like yellow, gold, and also this like kind of grayish blue color in there as well, which I just think is so pretty. But yeah, I think all of Allie's colors are really nice. She does like variegateds in it's just like a creamy way. I really like the way that they turn out. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I'll use these for yet, but you know, you can never have too many single skeins of sock yarn. So anyway, yep, those are my most recent yarn acquisitions, and I think that's pretty much, yeah, that's all I've got as far as yarn and crafting related content goes. Not any baseball content to talk about this week because the season ended and it's just, you know, free agent time. There are players that their contracts with their previous organizations ended and they are now available to sign new contracts with new clubs if they want to, with new teams. And so that is kind of a lot of what's happening now. We're in off-season mode. I've been working on a lot of hiring stuff with the Mariners, trying to help us get ready to hire a whole bunch of new folks to come and work with the Mariners. So if you're interested in working for the Seattle Mariners, we have a ton of open positions right now, and you should go check out our website if you want to work with the Seattle Mariners and come work with me. But otherwise, yeah, life stuff. I guess I do have one other kind of yarn-related thing to talk about. I tried to dye yarn again this weekend. Nafis and I actually just kind of independently of yarn dyeing, or I guess I went to the store. I picked up some pomegranates, and we've been eating pomegranates the last week or two, and I remember reading that you could use pomegranate rinds to dye yarn or to dye fabric or anything. And so I really wanted to try that. So we had, you know, I cleaned up a couple of pomegranate rinds and I soaked my yarn and I made my little dye solution with the pomegranate rinds, and it just turned out so gross. It was just not what you want. I expected the solution to be like yellowy, kind of mustardy colored, because that's what I'd read, is that pomegranate rinds dye things yellow. And it was just, it smelled gross. It was like mushy and kind of like dark red. And then when I dipped like paper towel in it, it looked yellow, but like kind of like a dirty, gross yellow. Just really not what you want. So I did not end up using it to dye yarn. I saved the solution in like a big like glass jar, like a gallon jar that we have. And I think I'm just going to pour it out. Like, I'm not going to use it. It's just, I didn't like the color. And so, I don't know, this kind of sent me down this rabbit hole thinking about, you know, I really was looking forward to dyeing this yarn, and I want to, you know, I love crafting, I love knitting, I love making something myself, and wanting to get involved in like another step of that process, and dyeing the yarn is kind of like a way that I can, I don't know, I just was really looking forward to dyeing yarn and wanting to be involved in that part of the making process. And so I've been thinking about it more, and I'm considering trying to dye yarn with like not natural dyeing, like do acid dyes, just for personal use. I'm not trying to like make dye yarn for anyone else at this point, because I have, you know, little to no confidence that I'll be able to do it successfully. But I just, you know, I want to try it. And I had this idea of, you know, a while ago I did this video about my personal color palette and these colors that I just am always drawn to. And I thought, what if I could dye up exactly from my brain my perfect color palette? Like, what if I could dye yarn that just perfectly captures the colors that I love? And so I'm considering trying to do that. So maybe I'll try to acquire some acid dyes in the future and give it a go. I was also thinking, like, this is much farther in the future, but what if I could dye self-striping yarn in my perfect colors? That would be pretty cool. I would really like that. So we'll see. I'm gonna try it probably because, you know, that's what I do. But we'll see if it turns out anything. But anyway, that was the only other kind of yarn or crafting related thought that I had. I did try to naturally dye yarn. I didn't actually put any dye on the yarn because the dye solution part didn't go well. So yeah, otherwise, I mean, it hasn't been super long since I last recorded, so I don't have a ton to talk about. I know often I share what we are making and eating and activities that we've been up to, and so the last week we made, this weekend on Saturday, Nafis and I made homemade pasta, and that was delicious. We're actually gonna eat some of that tonight as well. I'm really looking forward to it. A couple years ago, my mom got us the pasta extension for the KitchenAid mixer. You can use to like flatten your pasta pieces, and then you can also use it to cut your pasta. And we also have the ravioli attachment, which that one's really fun. We didn't make ravioli this time, but I love making ravioli. It is like, homemade ravioli is so good. It's so delicious. I mean, I just like, you know, it's pasta filled with cheese. Like, how can it be bad? It's so good. But anyway, we just made spaghetti this time, and it was really yummy. We did like a lemon butter shrimp spaghetti, and it was so good. And we also made crispy air fried mushrooms. So we cut mushrooms up and we kind of breaded them in like flour, egg, and like breadcrumbs, like a breadcrumb seasoning mixture, and then put them in the air fryer. And so good. Really, really good. So I think we'll probably make that again as well. But that was really yummy. What else? Nafis actually bakes persimmon bread today. So we got some persimmons from our neighbors. And they just, so I think one of our neighbor's friends sent her a big box of persimmons, and she had a whole bunch extra, and so she gave us some. And I'd never had a persimmon before. It's a fruit, if you're unfamiliar, and it's kind of like a stone fruit. It's like fleshy. The way I've been describing it is it's bigger than a plum, but it's like, the texture feels like a plum to me, or like an apricot, but it's not tart at all. It's like just like mildly sweet. Pretty good. I'd never had one, and I have enjoyed it. But Nafis made persimmon bread today, and I haven't tried it yet. It actually came out of the oven right before I started podcasting, so I'd love to try that as well. And otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of crafting here. We went to, instead of making Sunday brunch today, we actually went to brunch at a brunch spot close to where we live, just down the street, and I had a lovely chicken and egg sandwich, which was really good. And Nafis had a breakfast burrito, and then yesterday we went to a board game cafe and played games and ate food. Sorry, I got cut off again, but what I was saying was we went to a board game cafe with a couple of friends last night to celebrate one of our friends' birthdays, and that was really fun. We played games and ate food, and that was really lovely. There was a new game that we played that I'd never played before. I think it was called Irish Gauge, and it was described to us as like a combination of like Ticket to Ride and like Monopoly, and it kind of was. It was really fun, so if those are games you like, you might want to check that out. But yeah, we had a great time this weekend, and generally just have been, I don't know, I've been trying to take it a little bit easier and do more crafting and spending our evenings with chill time before we go and visit family. So like I mentioned, we're going to go back this Friday for a week for Thanksgiving and spend Thanksgiving with our families, and that'll be really nice. And then we are going to come back to Seattle for a couple weeks, and then we're going to go again to Oklahoma to visit for the holidays, for Christmas and like New Year. And so that'll be really good. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else in particular to share with you all. I really appreciate you tuning in, and it'll probably be closer to 2 weeks before I record again, just to get through my time in Oklahoma. I probably won't record when I'm there, so but yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging in here with me, and I we'll talk to you next time. So I hope you do lots of knitting and watch lots of baseball and have a great week. Bye.